Linda Real. He's here, guys. He's in the chat. He's here with us. Background real quick, guys. He's a moderator of the channel. Linda Real is a brainiac. He's a good kid. He knows a lot about bankruptcies. And we're going to talk about it right now in detail. First, Linda Real, good morning.
Good morning, Morant.
Yes, sir. So how exactly do we want to interpret what's happening with Bed Bath & Beyond right now? Can you give us like a brief rundown?
Well, you had the IP auctions, and then there was the going concern auction that was scheduled for Baby. That was, of course, canceled. And there was a lot of, talk out there about, it was canceled because there's another buyer and all this other stuff, which is preposterous on face. Like, one of the things that everybody needs to know is when a company goes into bankruptcy, the whole point of the bankruptcy court is to provide transparency to the creditors, because at that point, it's not about the company. It's not about the shareholders. The shift goes to the debts that they owe and the creditors that they owe those to.
So the whole secrecy idea, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to make sure we're hearing this right. The notion that PP Seeds and that show pushes out that everything's very secretive for a reason, the NDAs and all that nonsense, when the truth is bankruptcy is the complete opposite. They put the sofas, they put the schedules out there so that everyone is so transparent with what's moving forward. Is that correct?
That's correct. And then as far as the NDAs, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, one thing. I'm going to shut my door. You keep talking. I can hear you.
Sure. So, they were talking about the NDAs and how it's so weird that there's all this secrecy and there's redacted documents. It's not really weird at all. It's fairly normal when you're going through a sale and you're shopping it out to multiple bidders. You're obviously providing them information that other people don't have so they can do their due diligence. And you don't want those people to turn around and go, no, I didn't buy this company because, it was absolute dog crap or whatever. So it's totally normal for there to be NDAs out there. Nothing new. You can see that over 80 of them were signed as per the documents, and they didn't get a bid off of a single one. So the reason that the going concern auction included the Bye Bye Baby IP is because how are you going to have a going concern on those stores and keep them open without a name on the top, right? So there isn't a second secretive thing that's about to happen.
So we're not going to find this savior coming up and buying the whole damn thing at once and saying this is what's been happening the whole time. Because here's the theory that I've had to hear for the last, month, is it's not selling to anyone. They don't have a buyer because it's already sold. Is that even possible?
It's possible that Sixth Street could leverage the debt that they had to pick off the pieces that they want. But so there are a couple of things that are misconceptions in that community, which I think need to be addressed. And maybe some misunderstandings here. So there are, of course, two types of corporate bankruptcies. There's Chapter 11 and there's Chapter 7. And Chapter 11 is a restructuring. Chapter 7 is a liquidation. The difference there is in Chapter 11, you can either restructure to come out of bankruptcy, or you can restructure to sell and liquidate. And there's an advantage of going through liquidation in Chapter 11 versus Chapter 7 because the company controls versus the trustee controlling.
Right.
So, there'd be a liquidating trustee in the event of a Chapter 7. So Bed Bath & Beyond is going through into Chapter 11, but it is a liquidating Chapter 11 at this point. It's pasted all over the front of their websites. We're winding down our operations. They didn't get bids. Obviously they sold off the IP. They have the use of that until I think September or October, depending, so they can wind down their stores and still have a storefront.
Right.
But there's no there, right? There's nothing left to buy, really.
Yeah, when I figured when they're selling fixtures in the building and the rest of the inventory at pennies on the dollar, I figured what are you actually giving out to someone of value after that fact? There's nothing. So and people talking about inventory is coming into the stores. Well, yeah, they shut stores and moved inventory around. Whatever didn't sell before the store closed, they're still trying to get pennies out of it. Right. So it makes sense. Okay. So, and you've been a part of, and I don't want to give out the whole track record, but some bankruptcies, the litigation side of it. But what happens to the insiders after something like this?
As far as the Sue Govs and people like that on the board, I mean, they're going to do just fine, right? are getting paid pretty exorbitant amounts right now to wind this down. The people that they brought in, like David Caston, like
Edlin.
Holly Etlin, Edlin's making what, like 70 grand a week? I mean, sign me up.
One second. Hey, whatever the hell your name is, Takaduwachi Machachi, whatever the hell your name is in the chat. We're talking about Bed Bath & Beyond right now. We'll eventually talk about GameStop and the CEO selling shares and whatever you're upset about or whatever you get your panties in a bunch. But please stop spamming the chat with your nonsense. We're all aware of the news from yesterday. Thank you. You got your breaking news. Relax, chill. All right, we're back to Linda Real and talking about Bed Bath & Beyond help. All right, sorry about that. This guy's ridiculous.
No. So, I mean, all those executives, they know what they're getting into, right? This isn't their first rodeo, as you've pointed out many times through the connecting the dots stuff. But, I mean, it's very plain to see if you go look up their bios. They're used to doing this. They make a living off doing this. I hate to break it to people. There are people that have stellar careers and make absolutely lots of money going around and winding down companies.
Yeah, it's a business.
Yeah, somebody has to do it, and these people step in and do that. Now, whether or not, there's nefarious ends to that is really a subject that is never
that's
here
my
there.
DD. That's don't do it.
Right.
Yeah. If they want to call it speculative, they can. But my whole theory is playing out pretty perfect as far as these guys coming in, infiltrating, making bad judgment, and then carving out assets the whole way through. So you saw some of the DD. I know you follow a lot of this. I don't want to say some. You follow pretty much every single comment made, just because you're trying to figure out, this is my own intellect here, is where you're trying to figure out how do they even concoct such a theory? Like, how do they even get to the narratives that they're getting to? Are any of these possible from what you've seen in your experience, the nonsense that you're hearing out there in Never Neverland?
No, not at all. And there's a couple that I'd like to address that have been bandied about recently. So the first would be everybody talking about RC being on a creditor, and some person went back and found him on the schedules for for Bed Bath & Beyond. So, all right, let's talk about that real quick. Schedule H is co-debtors. Typically, those would be debtor entities for which the debtors have filed to be one of the 74. In this particular instance, Ryan Cohn is listed there as a litigation party to several different claims from different cities, but all related to either the pump and dump lawsuit or the subsequent lawsuit that was filed that alleges that he should have to provide the gains that he made on his sale back to the company because he became an insider before he made those sales. So I don't think that either one of those is necessarily going to go in favor of the plaintiffs. So I don't think that there's anything really there. However, the way that schedules and SOFAs work is a debtor lays out all of the information that they have as of the petition date. So these aren't claims, right? These are items that the debtor has that are owed. They're scheduled items. If people don't agree with those claims, or they think it should be more, or there are claims that are not represented, that's who would file a proof of claim in the case. But this is what the company is saying. It's possible that it's owed. So in those instances, if a settlement was achieved and it was against Ryan Cohn and Bed Bath & Beyond, then yes, Ryan Cohn would share in that. It does not, however, mean that he is involved with Bed Bath & Beyond at this point, and in any way. And the fact that he's included on the creditor matrix is specifically because he's involved in the schedules and SOFAs. So he gets noticed with quite a few things, but that also does not mean anything. I mean, it's no different than anybody else that's getting noticed as a part of that matrix.
Correct.
There are 5 big mailings, the 341 notice, the bar date notice, the plan of disclosure statement hearing, the confirmation notice, and the notice of effective date that goes out to the entire creditor matrix. And everybody's going to get notice of that, whether or not they're getting any money out of the case, whether or not they have anything to do with the case, other than just having a scheduled item. So it's nothing special. He's not unique. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Every time I read it and I hear that they're going to acquire Baby, or Baby's going to acquire them, or Ryan's in on the deal still. He's here. Carl Icahn's the one. Like, I don't even know where they come up with the ideas they're coming up with. And as far as the value they think they're going to get for their company, do you see the $5 billion worth of value for this company in the dockets that you've been reading?
Holly Etland mentioned that in court. If you break it down, that equates to $14 million a day in revenue. I don't think that that's anything other than past sales, which at this point, with all the stores that they've closed, is not going to be a correct valuation. Really, they're pointing back to Ryan Cohen and his letter from last March. And I hate to break it to you, but the world is a slightly different place, and Bed Bath & Beyond is significantly different than when that valuation or when that supposition was made. I think also, if you look back to Ryan Cohen's interview, he makes it pretty clear that after he got in, saw what was going on, that, he admitted that he was wrong. So.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Top line revenue is not there. As far as market cap goes, this company is smaller than GameStop, just so we're very clear on that. And that's very telling right now, considering they have filed for bankruptcy. There's no value there. Hell, even Kohl's is smaller than GameStop. I wonder if people even know this stuff. But for anything else that you see, as far as the filings and the dockets, how much longer do you think this is going to stretch out? And when do you think this will all come to, a crescendo at the end?
Well, per the original DIP agreement, they have until July 22nd to file their plan of reorganization. So, and again, just so everybody knows, even if you're in a liquidating Chapter 11, you're still going to file a plan of reorganization that shows how the assets are distributed when everything is liquidated. They have an exclusivity period that is granted when they first file bankruptcy. And I think that goes out until August. So if for some reason it doesn't come at the end of July, it would be by the end of August. But I have not seen anything, at least in the DIP, that lends me to believe that date has changed. So I'm still anticipating a plan at the end of this month.
Okay, so I have that. That's another thing I lead to is it was such a small dip. The dip financing themselves. Do you think it was done that way to put pressure on the decisions that are made by the company itself, or is just no one's willing to put that much money behind it?
Well, there gets into an interesting scenario that we've seen play out over the past week and a half, which would be there was an objection by the bondholders that basically said, like, you never needed the dip in the first place. These are the cash balances that you've had, and we want to unwind all this stuff. And essentially the judge was like, no, you can't do that. You can't come in at the end after all these pieces have been moved and then go, okay, we want to redo. So, there's conjecture there, at least from the bondholders' side, as to whether or not the dip was even needed, because Bed Bath & Beyond seems to have had the cash balances that they needed to do, the wind down that they have done. Either way, it was a very short leash. Whether or not they needed it is kind of immaterial at this point. It is done.
Right. So they took the money, and if you looked at the three agreements that they had, and I'm just talking about from the inventory standpoint, the financial standpoint of the money itself, and then the unwinding, as far as the auctions go. I'm looking at, did you see the balance sheet that was posted for May, where they only had $29 million in cash, and they had about $400 million worth of inventory left, but that was it. And that was at the end of May. I can only imagine what it is right now in June. And in theory, I have these individuals pushing out that they're going to be cash flow positive this next earnings statement. What the hell are they talking about? And what is cash flow positive when you have nothing left? What are the bearings of that? I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's easy to be cash flow positive when you're not spending money on replacing inventory, but what does that mean when you're liquidating? Like, that's like saying, man, the color on this lifeboat looks really good, and standing on the boat and watching it sink.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you only because I think about like any person in the world who's like, I'm not liquid. And then they were like, you know what? I'm rich. Let me sell every car I own. Let me sell my house. Let me sell everything. And now look at how much money I have. But yet you're homeless. You have nothing. And that's exactly what's happening right now. They're liquidating down via the Chapter 11. And I don't think they can open back up. I don't think anyone can come in and save this. I don't think it's meant to be saved. But if that's, I don't know if that's your conclusion, but as far as no bidders, no one really coming in and trying to save the day, that's the conclusion that I'm coming with at this moment in time. And it's not, and I don't want to put it out there for everyone out there. Like, they all do this tinfoil hat theories of like what's going to happen. I'm going to give you this floor right now, Lynn. What do you think is going to happen? You can be very direct. It's well, the probability of this happening is 90%. Just tell me how you really feel, and I'm good.
I think that in the next few weeks, be that the end of July or worst case at the end of August, you're going to find a plan reorganization that comes out. You're going to find the exact treatment of the creditors, and I'll be happy to get with you at that point and break down all of that and how it works. But I think you're going to find that the equity is not recovering anything, just as, been saying for 6 months now.
Yep, the shareholders.
And the company themselves said, and put it out in many filings as well as in the bankruptcy as itself in big bold letters, don't buy our stock. So I think that there are going to be a lot of disappointed people that have put their hopes in a bunch of individuals that did not really know what they were looking at. And I can base that on just watching a couple of the shows from the past few days. And when a new docket would come out, they would get together and they would try to figure out what it was, like the automatic stay document. And they're trying to figure out what the automatic stay is and how it works and how it applies to this one particular thing. And people were like, oh, this means it's out of bankruptcy. And it's like, if I had 7 figures in a play, right, I would probably want to talk to somebody that was familiar with everything, like an attorney or something like that, if stuff went sideways and I was really worried about it. But no, let's get together with like 7 or 8 laymen who don't have any idea what they're reading, and we'll go with that. So I think unfortunately it's just going to lead to a lot of heartbreak and disappointment.
Well, now you know why I hang out with you in the Discord and everyone else. Marantz Rant's Discord, completely free. It's pinned to the top of the chat. You're going to find a great guy like this amongst other people that will explain everything you see. I've never claimed to be the the know-it-all as far as the bankruptcy proceedings. You know that. I've been very open with you, and I literally come to you with so many questions, but at the same time, I'm reading through what I can to figure it out on my own, or to see other bankruptcies, how they played out, because I want to know. It's not that I'm invested by any stretch. I just want to know. I want to know, I want to see it burn just like anyone else, but for all the right reasons, because I feel like people are being manipulated, and it's come to this. You're at 29 cents right now. We're having conversations about a 29-cent stock that is in bankruptcy for the last 3 months. What more could they want? That's all I'm saying. So I'm with you. Well, I don't want to take up the rest of your day, sir. Did you have anything else you want to get off your chest?
Don't think so at the moment. If you guys have any questions, feel free to join Marantz's Discord. I'll be happy to answer whatever I can. And if not, then seek the outside counsel of somebody and figure out, I'm not a paid shill.
No.
Have no reason to be here, or at least if I am, the check hasn't come yet. So we need to get on that. But
I apologize, sir. 1% royalties for you, Ruben, Almo, everything. I just don't want to send you $3 checks, bro.
I'm just messing with you.
That's all it is. Yeah.
But, there are people that just genuinely care and don't like to see other people taken advantage of. And unfortunately, since 2021, there have been a lot of those scenarios. And Marantz does a good job about bringing those to light. Like you just heard with the Mullen videos. If you haven't watched the premiere from a few minutes ago, I would highly recommend that you do that as well.
Here you go, pumping the stock channels, bro. Don't do that here. No. Hey, I appreciate you, Lind, for everything. Once again, guys, it's the Bed Bath & Beyond recap. Eventually, what we're seeing is there's no savior. It's pretty black and white as far as what's really happening, but these guys are hanging on to hopium, so can't help them all, brother. Can't help them all. A lot of people just say, just let them burn, Marantz. I try not to be that guy. But thank you so much for everything, Linda. I appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. You have a wonderful day.
Likewise. Thank you. I'll let you get back at it. I'm going to get back to the show. Thank you, sir.